What if I told you that most of your suffering doesn't come from reality itself, but from your resistance to it? Think about it, so much of our pain isn't about what actually happens, but how we react to it. We cling to expectations, resist the inevitable, and let our emotions control us. But what if there was another way? That's where Baruch Spinoza comes in. A radical thinker from the 17th century, Spinoza dared to challenge everything people believed about life, happiness, and even God. His ideas were so controversial that he was excommunicated from his own religious community and lived as an outsider for the rest of his life. But despite the rejection, he never wavered. He believed that true wisdom wasn't about following tradition, it was about seeing reality clearly and aligning ourselves with it. Why does this matter today? Because Spinoza's philosophy is one of the most powerful blueprints for achieving inner peace, happiness, and freedom. His insights don't just sound good in theory, they actually work in practice. And once you understand them, you'll start seeing the world, and yourself, in a completely new way. So in this video, we're going to break down 7 of Spinoza's deepest philosophical teachings, ideas that can truly transform how you think about life. We'll explore how acceptance leads to freedom, how emotions can be tamed through knowledge, and why true happiness is found in understanding rather than chasing external desires. By the end of this video, you'll have a new philosophical toolkit, one that will help you navigate life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and peace of mind. So let's dive in. Have you ever found yourself frustrated by something completely outside of your control? Maybe you got stuck in traffic, your plans were ruined by unexpected rain, or someone treated you unfairly. In these moments, we often feel anger, stress, or even despair. But according to Baruch Spinoza, this suffering doesn't come from reality itself, it comes from our resistance to it. Spinoza believed that the universe operates according to its own natural laws, completely indifferent to our desires. Things don't happen for us or against us, they simply happen. The key to inner peace, he argued, is to stop resisting what is inevitable and instead, seek to understand it. Let's take a simple example, rain. Imagine you have an important event, and suddenly, it starts pouring. Many people would react with frustration, why today? Why now? As if the universe conspired against them. But rain isn't personal. It doesn't fall to punish you. It simply follows the laws of nature. And if you accept this reality instead of fighting it, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. This applies not just to the weather, but to every aspect of life. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. Loss is inevitable. But the more we fight against these truths, the more we suffer. Spinoza teaches that peace is found not in changing the world to fit our desires, but in aligning our desires with the truth of the world. Does this mean we should become passive? Not at all. Acceptance is not the same as resignation. Spinoza's wisdom isn't about giving up, it's about seeing clearly. When you accept reality as it is, you free up your energy to focus on what you can control instead of wasting it on what you can't. So the next time life throws an obstacle in your path, pause for a moment. Instead of instantly reacting with frustration, ask yourself, is this something I can change or something I must embrace? That simple shift in perspective could be the difference between suffering and peace. Do you believe that you are truly free? That you make your own choices, guided only by your will? Spinoza would say, think again. Most of us go through life believing that our decisions, what we like, what we believe, how we act, are based on our personal choices. But Spinoza challenges this idea. He argues that most of our actions are not freely chosen at all, but rather shaped by unconscious causes, things we never even questioned. Think about something as simple as your favorite type of music. Do you love classical, jazz, or hip-hop? Now ask yourself, did you freely choose this preference, or was it influenced by the environment you grew up in? Maybe your parents played a certain genre at home, or a specific song was tied to a meaningful moment in your life. Spinoza argues that we don't choose our likes and dislikes, we inherit them, we absorb them, we are conditioned by them. But if that's true, does that mean we are prisoners of our past, doomed to repeat the same patterns? Not necessarily. Spinoza believed that true freedom comes from understanding these hidden forces. The more you recognize what has shaped you, the experiences, the social influences, even biological instincts, the more control you gain over your own life. Let's take anger, for example. If someone insults you, your immediate reaction might be frustration or rage. But why? If you look deeply, you might find that it's not just their words, it's your ego, your past wounds, your ingrained belief that being disrespected means you must fight back. But if you can see this process clearly, if you can step back and say, this is just my conditioning reacting, suddenly you are not controlled by it anymore. You have a choice. Spinoza teaches that real freedom is not about doing whatever we feel like, it's about understanding why we feel the way we do in the first place. The more we examine our thoughts, desires, and emotions, the more we see that we are not as free as we thought, but paradoxically, it is this awareness that sets us free. So, ask yourself, are you making choices, or are your past experiences making them for you? The deeper you look, the freer you become. What do you think brings true happiness? Wealth? Success? Status? If that were the case, why do so many billionaires and celebrities, people with everything, still struggle with depression, addiction, and inner turmoil? Spinoza believed that happiness does not come from what you have, but from how well you understand yourself. Most people spend their lives chasing external rewards, a bigger house, more money, higher social status. They believe that if they just achieve one more goal, they will finally be happy. But Spinoza warns us, this is an illusion. Imagine two people. One is a billionaire. He has yachts, mansions, private jets. But he constantly feels empty, restless. He is always thinking about his next business deal, worried about losing what he has. No matter how much he gains, it's never enough. Now, imagine another person. He lives a simple life. He is not famous, he does not chase luxury, but he understands himself. He knows his desires, his weaknesses, and his strengths. He has mastered his emotions. He finds joy in small things, and he does not depend on external success to feel at peace. Who is truly happier? Spinoza teaches that happiness is not about what we achieve, it's about what we understand. A person who knows themselves, who has clarity about their emotions and desires, is far better off than someone who blindly chases the next big thing, never feeling satisfied. This is why Spinoza's wisdom is more relevant than ever. In today's world, we are bombarded with messages telling us to want more, buy more, achieve more. But Spinoza reminds us that chasing these things blindly is like drinking salt water, it will never quench your thirst. Instead, the key to true contentment is inner clarity. If you understand your own thoughts, emotions, and nature, you will not be controlled by them. You will not fall into the endless trap of comparison, greed, and dissatisfaction. So ask yourself, are you truly seeking happiness, or are you just chasing distractions? The answer makes all the difference. What is real love? Is it passion, obsession, attachment? Is it the feeling that you can't live without someone? According to Spinoza, real love is not about possessing someone or needing them to fill a void in your life. Instead, love should be based on respect, freedom, and deep understanding. Most relationships today are built on dependency, not love. Think about it, many people enter relationships not because they want to give, but because they want to get something, validation, security, control. They say, I love you, but what they really mean is, I need you. This creates relationships full of jealousy, insecurity, and fear. If your happiness depends on someone else's actions, you will constantly feel anxious. If you need your partner to behave a certain way to feel loved, your love is not freedom. It is slavery. Spinoza argued that true love exists only when both people are free. Imagine two people in love. They choose to be together, not because they need each other, but because they respect and appreciate one another. They do not try to change the other person. They do not demand, manipulate, or control. They love, without expecting something in return. This is real love, love that does not create chains, but instead, gives wings. Now, contrast this with a relationship where one partner constantly seeks validation, demands attention, and feels empty without the other person. This is not love, it is attachment. It is fear of being alone. Spinoza's lesson is clear. If your love is based on possession, it will lead to suffering. If your love is based on freedom, it will last. So ask yourself, are you truly in love, or are you just afraid of being alone? True love says, I love you because I want to, not because I need to. What if I told you that fear is the greatest prison, and most people never escape it? Fear is not just an emotion. It is a force that controls lives, limits potential, and keeps people in chains. According to Spinoza, fear does not come from reality, it comes from ignorance. People fear death because they do not understand it. They fear failure because they misunderstand success. They fear rejection because they place their worth in the hands of others. But here is the truth, fear is an illusion. Think about death. Why do so many people fear it? Because they see it as an ending, a tragedy, an unknown void. But what if death is just another part of life? What if it is as natural as being born, as waking and sleeping, as the rising and setting of the sun? Spinoza believed that the wise person does not live in fear of death but understands it as a part of nature's design. Likewise, many people fear failure, but what is failure? A label. A social construct. A temporary setback that only has meaning if you give it meaning. Spinoza's wisdom teaches us, if you understand something fully, you will no longer fear it. Imagine a child afraid of the dark. They see monsters in the shadows, but the moment the lights turn on, the fear disappears. Did the monsters exist? No. But the ignorance made them feel real. The same is true for our fears. The more we understand life, the less fear can control us. Fear of death disappears when we understand life. Fear of failure disappears when we see it as growth. Fear of rejection disappears when we realize we do not need external validation. So ask yourself, what fears are keeping you trapped? And more importantly, are you ready to turn on the light? Have you ever been trapped by your own emotions? You feel anger rise inside you when someone insults you. You feel anxiety pull you down when faced with a challenge. You feel overwhelmed by sadness when things don't go your way. But what if I told you that true freedom does not come from avoiding emotions, but from mastering them? Spinoza believed that rationality is the key to inner freedom. Emotions are fleeting, they control us when we act impulsively. Rationality allows us to step back, see the bigger picture, and act with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse. Imagine this, you are walking down the street, and someone insults you. Most people react instinctively, they get angry, retaliate, or hold on to resentment for hours, even days. But a rational person? They see through the situation. They recognize that the insult is not about them, but about the other person's state of mind. They remain calm, composed, and in control. And that is true power. Spinoza's wisdom teaches us, we suffer not because of events, but because of our emotional reactions to them. If you train your mind to see clearly, to replace emotion with reason, reaction with understanding, impulse with wisdom, then you will no longer be a prisoner of your emotions. This is not about being emotionless. It is about being unshaken. A free mind is one that is not easily disturbed. A free soul is one that does not fall into unnecessary suffering. So next time you face conflict, ask yourself, am I reacting with impulse, or responding with wisdom? Because the answer to that question determines whether you are truly free. Have you ever felt like life was fighting against you? The world changes, people come and go, and no matter how hard we try to control things, we often find ourselves powerless against the flow of life. But what if I told you that true peace comes not from controlling nature, but from aligning with it? Spinoza believed that we are not separate from nature, we are part of it. We are not spectators of the universe, but expressions of it. Just as the rivers flow to the sea, just as the trees shed their leaves in the fall, we too are part of this great, unfolding reality. Yet, what do? We resist. We cling. We try to force life into our expectations, and when things don't go our way, we suffer. But imagine this. A person caught in a storm has two choices. Small blue diamond, they can resist, curse the wind, and struggle against the rain. Small blue diamond, or they can accept the storm, find shelter, and wait for the skies to clear. Which one suffers more? Life, like nature, follows its own rhythm. It is beyond our control. We cannot stop change, but we can choose how we respond to it. Spinoza teaches us that wisdom is the ability to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Instead of fighting against life's inevitable changes, aging, loss, uncertainty, we can flow with them. Instead of fearing death, we can understand it as part of the cycle of existence. Instead of clinging to the past, we can embrace the present moment with clarity and grace. Harmony with nature is not about passivity, it is about understanding the laws of life and living in alignment with them. When we do this, we find serenity, dignity, and a deep connection with the universe itself. Because in the end, we are not here to conquer nature, we are here to become one with it. And there you have it, 7 life-changing lessons from Baruch Spinoza. His wisdom teaches us to stop fighting reality, to embrace understanding, and to free ourselves from emotional chains. Because in the end, peace is not about controlling the world, it's about understanding it. Think about your own life. How much of your suffering comes from resisting what simply is? How often do you try to force things to go your way, rather than accepting and flowing with the nature of reality? Spinoza's philosophy is not just an intellectual exercise, it is a roadmap to a deeper, freer, and more peaceful life. And the first step? Understanding yourself. Because once you know yourself, you can free yourself. So, now it's your turn. If Spinoza's ideas made you think differently, hit that like button. Comment below, which of these teachings resonated with you the most? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want more wisdom to transform your mind and your life, subscribe for more powerful philosophical insights. Remember, wisdom is not just knowing, it is applying what you learn. So, go out there and live with clarity, with courage, and with freedom. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.